Many strange things happen in this world that are unexplainable. I shared a couple stories that happened to me when I was 5 years old and when I was 21 years old. And ever since then, many people send me their stories, and this is one such story.
Hello, my name is Angela. I'm 32 years old. I just saw your video of how you saw the devil, and my story is almost the same as yours. For me, my story goes like this. I was 5 or 6 years of age, and my family and I, we were in the house. Me and my brothers and sisters were sitting around watching TV. The phone rang and my mother picked it up. It was my grandmother. She asked if we wanted to come over for dinner. Everyone was happy, and we all said, yes, yes, we want to come over for dinner. So we all got ready, and my stepdad drove. Now this is Luray, Virginia, close to a place called Lake Arrowhead. It's a man-made beach. The house where my grandmother lived was maybe 5 to 8 minutes away by car. When we got there and started up the driveway to park the car, I look out of the window of the car and I see someone come out the front door. I ask my sister, "Who is that?" She looks and sees nothing and turns to me saying, "You're just trying to scare me. You're a dummy." Everyone gets out of the car. I lag behind because I still see this figure. We walk up to the porch and the door is still open. My mother, brothers, and sisters go in and I hear her saying, "You left the door open." I'm looking at this figure still standing against the wall beside the door. I was not scared at this time because it was getting dark and I was having a hard time making him out in the dark and kind of behind the door a little. I could begin to make out that he had hooved feet and had hair on the bottom half of his body like an animal. I reached my hand out to touch it, and my hand went right through it and ended up touching the wall of the house, and when I brought my hand back, I had dirt or chalk on it. The whole time the figure is looking down at me, and at that time my mother comes back out and asks me if I'm going to come in. As I am saying yes, the figure ran to the side of the house. I went in. My grandmother was helping me with my jacket, and she said, "Would you like to help me cook?" I said yes, so we went to the stove. She picked me up and sat me on the countertop. So she's explaining to me what I can do. So I got to stir the pot. Everyone is having a good time. I look straight ahead. The table, brothers and sisters, my mom, and all my family members are there, and above them is a window. I look up at the window and I got to see the figure's face for the first time clearly. He was red with horns, almost the same as the one you saw, but the horns were not as big as the ones in your video. I started screaming, "Get me down, monster, monster." The figure seems very surprised and leaps down very quick before anyone else could see him. Now from outside the window it was 8 feet off the ground. When we were getting ready to go, my mother couldn't move me. I was so scared she had to pick me up and bring me to the car. When I got older, I started calling the figure the devil, but after seeing your video, I began to think it was a fallen angel. I shared the story with many people and got negative feedback like some of what you got. I even told someone at church and they brushed it off. You were the first person so far with somewhat the same story as mine.
Now, I was going to look up Saytr in the Bible and see what the Bible says about a Satyr. Because if you look the picture up of what she claims to have seen and what I claim to have seen, the Bible or the dictionary would call it a Satyr, and then the Bible has something to say about Satyrs. Now in Isaiah 34, 13 through 14. Now remember, right before this, God was going to stir up the Medes to destroy Babylon, or the city by the sea, and some claim that that is Saudi Arabia because the merchants see it in Revelations, but that's a whole nother story. But starting at chapter 34, 13 through 14, it says, "And thorns shall come up." This is after it's destroyed and turned to pitch, like it sounds like it got nuked. It says, "And thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortresses thereof, and it shall be an habitation of dragons, and a court for owls." Now, many people that have experiences with abduction, with the Greys, they claim to see owls. They start seeing owls like in their dreams, and they start experiencing seeing owls maybe even outside, things like that. And some people think that this has some references to some evil spirits, because habitation of dragons, a lot of times when the Bible speaks of dragons, it is talking about reptilian type serpent beings, such as what we would see in the Garden of Eden, a devil of some kind. "Now the wild beast of the desert shall go, or shall also meet with the wild beast of the island, and the Satyr shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there, and find herself a place of rest." Now, when this place becomes desolate, it becomes a habitation for dragons. So, spiritually speaking, sometimes when there's something going on in families, and there's maybe arguing or whatever the reasons might be, because if you talk to professionals, they'll say it can have to do with family secrets or things like that, because these beings like to operate in secrecy. They don't want us talking about it. So here on my channel, people share their stories and they get it out for the first time, and it can be healing. It has been healing to me to be able to share my stories. So I thank you, Angela, for your story. I'd like to know what everyone else thinks about this. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and let me know what you think of this story. All the artwork that this lady sent in is way too detailed and way too much effort for something to be made up. No one spends that much time on something if they made up a story. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.